today I wanted to go through the Tesla lineup and kind of give you my recommendations for each model and just kind of talk about things that may not be common knowledge. So we'll start in order because Tesla has chosen to line them up like S3XY. So that's we'll go with that. That has pretty much always been the thing. Used to, the website would show S at the top, then 3, then X, then Y. It was because it spells out sexy, but just a fun little thing. Don't know why they don't do it here anymore, but they do it up here. So, the Model S and really the Model X can be grouped into its own category because they are luxury cars. They are the upper end of Tesla, and they always have been, and they probably always will be. However, the recent price drop has made the gap between, say, a Model 3 and a Model S a lot less. And I feel like the value is there now. I feel like the S and X, the value is really there. It no longer makes sense to avoid these cars because the pricing is finally reasonable. We can go over just the base models here. They don't do standard range anymore. Now, keep in mind, I want to go ahead and point out, I am recording this September 5th, and I'm expecting in about 10 days something else is going to happen. Now, I don't know what. I expect Tesla to offer some sort of incentive to get people to buy these cars. Now, maybe they won't because they did do a pretty massive price drop, but usually around the 15th of every, the end of the quarter, the 15th of that month, it hits the fan and it gets real. So I'm kind of expecting them to do something else, but I don't really know for sure. We will see. The base Model S, and we don't do potential. No, we want the purchase price. Base Model S starts at $75,000, and you can go plaid for $90,000 pretty much. So that's a little bit of a jump, and we can look at with the S, there's not, it's either or. Do you want the standard, the long range, or do you want the plaid? There's no real incentive to choose plaid over anything else because of this. So, they have included all the paint colors on the S and X, and you can do bigger wheels, or you can just do the regular wheels. I'm pretty sure that the bigger wheels, well, I guess not on the long range. On the plaid, I was going to say, it was that you had to take the bigger wheels on the plaid in order to get 200 mile per hour top speed. Apparently, that's no longer the case. You can still get it with the smaller wheels now, so that's cool. And then you can do your wide interior. And you'll see that, like, I optioned out pretty much every option available here. Except for the wheels. Okay, we'll add the wheels. But the price difference from plaid, which is now $96,490, to standard or long range, $81,490, it's still a pretty big gap. So you'd have to pick, do you want plaid or do you want long range? There's really no incentive to go one way or the other on that. Whereas with, say, the X and the Y, there are. I think S is going to tailor to a particular audience. You have a reason to need or want the S, and there's no, you know what you want, and you're going after the S. The rest of the cars, I feel like maybe you're kind of undecided, and these are some really good contenders. So let's talk about Model 3. Now, it's in the news, everyone knows that Tesla just released the new refreshed Model 3 in Europe. In America, it's still not available, which makes no sense to me because they're an American company based out of California. Of course, now they're headquartered in Texas, but here nor there. Why do we still not have the refreshed Model 3? I don't know. So for that reason, I'm just going to head and straight say, don't order a Model 3. It makes no sense because the Model 3 still has Hardware 3, whereas all the other cars are now on hardware 4. You get the older design, unless you're just so stuck on, I don't want stalkless design because these still have stalks. If that's the only thing stopping you, then sure, get the Model 3. But don't order it. Go out of inventory, because it doesn't make any sense to order any of these at this point. I love how they're forcing potential savings too, by the way. That's annoying. But anyway, used to it would remember your choice and stay on what you chose. But inventory, there's plenty of Model 3s in inventory right now. They're massively discounted, as you can see in some cases. That's a performance. That's the top of the line for $49. So yeah, if you're going to get one, you might as well get it out of inventory, because it doesn't make sense to get it elsewhere. It doesn't make sense to order it and pay full price. There's no point in that. But if it were me, my recommendation would be wait until Highland comes out. You know, they really messed up by announcing it elsewhere before bringing it here, and then expecting people not to go buy, you know, not to wait on it, rather. I wouldn't do that. Another important thing to think about here is the Model 3 tax credit has a limit of $55,000. So $55,000 MSRP. If it's over that, you don't get the tax credit. So even though you're only paying $49 for this car, its MSRP is $55,240. It's $240 too high to qualify for the tax credit. Now this one's $54,240. That would be fine. You could do that one. And I think the difference mainly in MSRP is that the Model 3 doesn't get free colors. So gray is now the free color. White is an option that you have to pay for. Used to be white was a free color. So just got to look out for that. But this is a standard range on bigger wheels. That seems kind of dumb. But anyway, for Model 3, I wouldn't order it. Now, yes, Model Y is also due for a refresh, but it hasn't been announced. It could be years before that comes out. We don't know. So until that happens, I'm not going to say don't buy the Model Y. Model Y makes sense. Let's talk about Model X, because this is where my attention goes to. The Model X has these iconic Falcon Wing doors. It's the top of the line SUV. This is the fastest production SUV you can get in the world, much less electric. There's a few things that I would consider when ordering this one. So again, all paint colors are free. Remember that the red, ultra red, is a new color, and it was also $3,000. So you're saving yourself $3,000 by going with that. $2,000 for any of the other colors except for white, because white is still the free color. They're all free now. So it doesn't matter. You're saving yourself $3,000 in red. Red is one of the least taken colors in the car. I mean, I went to a Tesla event with 60 Teslas. I had the only red car there. So it's not a very taken color. I would do red. That's just my personal preference. Wheels, you can choose between 20-inch and 22-inch. My first Tesla, I did 22s because I thought they looked nicer. They were bigger. Really, the diameter doesn't change a whole lot if you kind of compare the picture as I cycle through there. The outside doesn't change. It's the sidewall that gets smaller. And smaller sidewall means rougher ride, and just overall not a great experience. And so personally, I'm leaning toward 20s. Also, 20s come with all-season tires, whereas 22s are now all-season tires. That's interesting. They used to be summer tires. So just things change every day over here. You know, you think you know something, you remember it, and it's changed. So maybe not so much a disadvantage now that it's all season tires, but I'm still leaning toward 20s myself, just because, you know, you're looking at a comfortable ride, and you got more sidewall. And apparently the 22s are easier to scuff and scrub against curbs, whereas this one has more sidewall to try to protect you from that. And then you go interior. Interior color is your own preference. I personally like white. And then do you want the 5, 6, or 7 seat? Now, this is where it gets subjective, in my opinion, because the 5 seat is included, and this car as configured right now is 81,990. Did we go plaid? No, we didn't even go plaid. 81,990. Now, if you want to qualify for the tax credit, you can. You just have to go black interior because it has to be under the 80,000 mark. But if you want white, you're like me, 81,990 is not a bad price out the door. However, I don't like the bench seat that they use in the second row, which is the only row in the rear on the fifth 5-seater. Even the 7-seater has 3 rows, but the middle row is a bench seat, and I don't like that. I really like the bucket seats that they put in the 6-seater, but as you can see, that's a $6,500 option. Kind of expensive. So if we go back and we look now at this car, it's 88,490 as configured. That's with the wide interior, that's with the 6 seat, and it doesn't matter what color because color is included. So now the difference to go from 88,490 to plaid, which is 91,990, the difference isn't even that big. It no longer makes sense to me why you wouldn't take a plaid, because you're getting all the extra upgrades, the red brake calipers, the crazy speed, everything. It doesn't make any sense not to go plaid if you're going to choose that configuration. Now, if you don't want 6 seat, then it doesn't make that much sense anymore. The reason is plaid comes only in the 6 seat configuration. You can't do 5, you can't do 7. It has to be 6 seat. And if you're going to go 6, you might as well go plaid because it's only a few $1,000s more. Now, interesting enough with this one, unless they've changed it, 149 top speed on the 20-inch wheels. If you go 22s, you now get 163 top speed. Realistically, are you ever going to take your family hauler going 150, 160 down the highway? No, probably not. But it's just a minor little detail. I'm still going with 20s. I'm never going to take my car 150 miles an hour anywhere. So, now, is this what I ordered? No, I did not order this because although I think the Ultra Red would be awesome, I am still keeping my red Model Y. I don't want cars of the same color. I like to change it up a little bit. I really liked my blue Tesla, and it had paint problems, yes, but I feel like if I get it PPF wrapped, we're going to have a lot less of an issue this time around. So I fully intend to, the day I get it, I'm just going to take it to the PPF shop and leave it for a week so that they can get it PPF wrapped. So that's the Model X. And then we talk about the Model Y. Now, the Model Y is just a smaller, cheaper version of the Model X, and you will lose some things because of that. You know, you don't get the ventilated seats, you don't get the satellite radio. You do still get stalks if you're really into that, so that's a thing. But kind of the same thing with the Model X here. You know, Model Y would not recommend. This is the standard range dual motor 4680 structural battery pack coming out of Austin, Texas. Too new, don't know enough about it, and people who do have it say it charges really slow. It's really not as good as you think it might be. I would spend the extra, which again, we're not in purchase price, so I'd spend the extra. It's just a few $1,000s. Get the long range. You got more range, 330 versus 279. You know, faster acceleration, top speed still the same. Yeah, I would definitely go with long range because not only is it just a few points of a second faster, you can actually buy the performance boost and get it down to 4.2 seconds instead of 4.8. So, or maybe it's 4.3. I'm not real sure. I haven't owned a long range in a long time. Same with the 3. The colors are not free, so you got to choose your color. But Midnight Silver is free. And then you got 2 wheel options. They're both all seasons, and I can attest to that because I did do, actually, mine was the performance wheels, but mine also came with all season tires. 20-inch for the long range, or 19. If you go performance, it's 21 inches. And those wheels are included. So again, kind of like the Model X, if you start adding things like, say, I want the wheels and I want to do wide interior, and I don't need 7-seat because you can only get the performance in 5-seat, not 7. If I don't need 7-seat, then now I'm looking at $53,490. And what's the difference to go performance? $55,490. $2,000 more. And now I'm getting upgraded wheels. I get the 21 inch instead of the 20 now. It increases your top speed to 155. Again, don't know what you'd be doing with that, but okay. You get bigger performance brakes, lowered suspension. I mean, all this stuff is included for $2,000. It's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you? You're going to lose a little bit of range, 303 versus 330, but I think that ultimately comes down to the wheels. If we do the bigger wheels, we're now at 318 versus 303. It's not that big of a deal. And this is a good car. This is the exact spec right here, car that I took on my road trip. 9,900 miles around the United States. And honestly, the car did really well. There were a few issues, and I think they were specific to that car. But, every car can have issues. Ultimately, it made the trip. It did it with ease, and there were no issues, major issues, that prevented the trip from continuing. Yes, there were rattles and squeaks and noises. That can be fixed. If I wanted to get it fixed, I could have. I opted to trade the car. Honestly, I wish I wouldn't have traded the car. But that's a different story. We'll talk about that. That's what I would do if I was gonna go with any of that. Now, if I wanted the bigger wheels, but I absolutely had to have 7-seater, obviously going performance is no longer an option, and you're more expensive than the performance alone. So yeah, I wouldn't do that on the Model Y. If you need 3 rows of seats, if you need the 7-seater, don't do it with a Model Y. Spend the extra, get the Model X, and just be happy, because the Model X is so much bigger on the inside and it just works so much better. This one, the rear, the third row is so small, only small children can fit there. And I'm not talking about like when they become preteens and teenagers. No, they're not fitting back there. It's not happening. So this is too small of a car for that. You need the Model X if you need that third row. I don't need the third row. I just like the Model X. So that's why I chose it. And we have in the past, when I had my Model X, used the third row. It was fine. We were able to fit teenagers and small adults back there, no issue. It wasn't anything like the Model Y. So, used to, if you'd asked me this question a month ago, I would have said 3 and Y are where it's at. I wouldn't waste my money on S and X unless you're just looking for that crazy performance. And now with the price drops, the playing field has leveled, and they are more comparable in price. I mean, if you get a base model, any color you want, Model X, you will qualify for the tax credit by the end of the year. So as long as you take delivery by the end of the year, you'll still get the tax credit. So I don't know. I mean, I think the X is a better overall deal now because the price has dropped so much to make it more worth it. I will point out that if you order it today, it says September or October delivery. And like I said, toward the end of September, I expect them to do some sort of incentive to get people to want to take the car, faster before the end of the quarter, because they want to up their quarter sales like they always do. So I'm expecting something else to happen. I don't know what it is. If I was able to get the price that I ordered at and 3 years free supercharging, that would be a deal and a half. That would be all about it. I don't know that that's what they're going to do. They may not do anything. But I do want to point out that if you're thinking about it, go ahead and order it, because if you still have that possibility of September to October delivery, you may get it before the end of the quarter, September, before the end of September. And that would mean you would qualify for whatever they come out with between now and then. However, if you wait too long and they do their deal and then you order and it says October, you won't get it before the end of the quarter. You won't get any of the bonuses. At least this way, if you ordered it now, you were already thinking about doing it. If they don't do anything else, it's already a pretty good price. If they do, it will be a double bonus for you. But if you wait around and don't order it in time and then it doesn't get here till October, you're not going to get the bonuses. And if there's any price changes, you'll be subject to that. Price increases, too bad, so sad. You now have to pay it. There's no going back to the old price if you didn't order during that price. The only other option with this would be to buy out of inventory, which inventory pricing was not updated a couple of weeks ago, but it is finally updated now, so we can talk about it. These prices are not discounted, as you notice. They're no longer doing big discounts on inventory models because the price is the price, and it's already pretty dang cheap. That may be your only option if they do offer some sort of incentive, toward the end of September, and you haven't already ordered, that you would have to take an inventory car. But just know that when those incentives hit, inventory is going to start depleting fast. When I bought my Model 3, I think it was the Model 3. Yeah, it was the Model 3. When I bought the Model 3, they were offering $7,500 off and 10,000 free supercharging miles. It was unprecedented. And when I heard about it, I went that night and ordered the car because I figured, inventory is going to be gone tomorrow. Sure enough, inventory was gone the next day. And just so happened the car that I had picked had damage on it. And they said, do you want the car with damage? Because most people wouldn't take a damaged car. And I'm like, no, I don't want the car with damage. And I almost didn't get it on that deal because you had to take delivery by December 31st. And with inventory completely wiped out, where was I going to get one? Just so happened there was one on the truck coming from California to my service center. They assigned me to it before it was even delivered, and I was able to take delivery of it December 26th. Cutting it close, but I managed to get the 10,000 free miles and the 7,500 off the sticker. So these sort of things do happen toward the end of the quarter, every quarter. So I don't think that it would be uncommon for them to do it again. 10 days from now, we'll probably see some sort of incentive for you to take delivery by the end of this month. And then in that case, I guess it kind of comes down to, do I wait it out and see if the car I ordered gets here on time? Or do I take one out of inventory? I mean, here's an ultra red, wide interior. It does have the bigger wheels, but I mean, I'm not completely against the bigger wheels. Should I take this over the one that I ordered if it means I get it by the end of the month and qualify for whatever incentive they offer in 10 days? I don't know. And will this one still be available? Probably not. But right now, those are the only two Plaids available with wide interior, and they both have 22-inch wheels. So if I get one by the end of the quarter and it has to be one of these, I would pick the red, but who knows? I guess we'll see. Anyway, maybe that was just a whole bunch of rambling, or maybe it was actually useful to you. That's how I look at the whole lineup, and if I were looking for a car, I wouldn't completely count out S and X now, just because the pricing is so much more realistic. Let's just take a quick moment. Let's look at S. So obviously, wow, they're still discounting them? I was going to say, obviously, they're not discounting these anymore. This one is discounted a little bit. They're not heavily discounted like they used to be. But these are some pretty crazy low prices for the Model S. I mean, sure, it's not a Plaid, but holy moly. The pricing is just there, and I wouldn't waste my time on threes, even though they probably are heavily discounted now because everyone knows that the Highland is coming and there'd be no point to buy this. The Ys are not. I think they had like 500 off last I checked. Oh, okay, that one's got a pretty decent discount right there. Yeah, they're all kind of pretty deeply discounted, so that's not bad. Now, I don't know, and I don't want to speculate, but I wonder if this is a sign that Project Juniper is on the rise, because Project Juniper is the new Model Y. Model 3 was called Project Highland, and and Model 3 is out. Of course, not here in the United States, but it's out in other places. And so we kind of expected Model Y would follow that quite soon. And now we're seeing these pretty deep discounts, and it kind of makes me wonder. I wonder if that's a sign. But at this point, my recommendation is still buy it, because really the only thing you're standing to lose is the new design on the outside, and maybe ventilated seats. Oh, and a stockless steering wheel. So if you like the stockless steering wheel, I guess maybe don't get it. But there's not a whole lot of reason to wait on the Y, because they already have hardware for, they already have matrix headlights. I mean, they're good either way you go. That's another thing, matrix headlights. I forgot to mention that. It's a much brighter, better headlight in my opinion. And in some cases on the standard range Model Y and the long range Model Y, they don't come with it. Whereas the performance does come with it. So that's another added benefit. If you were thinking about going 5-seat, bigger wheels, you might as well just go on performance and get the matrix headlights as well. And usually you can come in here and just see, like, they have this white part down here, and I don't really know if that's just a reflection or what that is, but on the matrix ones, it doesn't have that. You'll notice here, performance model doesn't have that white part on the bottom in the pictures. So that's an easy way to tell on the website if it has matrix or not, just because it doesn't have the white part on the bottom. But yeah, all right. I feel like I've went on way too long, and I don't even know if this was useful, but hopefully it helps you decide, or makes you even more confused, either way, about buying a Tesla. If you have any questions, or you're thinking about buying a Tesla, feel free to reach out. I have no problem answering questions. And if there's something that you didn't understand, or maybe you just want more information about, I'm pretty well versed in the market here. Although some of them, I'll tell you that they come with winter tires, and they apparently don't now, so that's cool. But but I'm pretty well versed in the market, and I have no problem answering questions. Or if you have questions about charging, I know that's a pretty big topic. Whatever it may be, feel free to reach out. I'll be glad to answer. And my referral link is in the bottom, the description. You'll save $1,000 on the S and X, or $500 on the 3 or Y with that code. Plus, you'll get 3 months free full self-driving. So, I mean, you really can't beat it. Anyway, I will see you guys later.